What's good, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony, aka Descendant of Chaos and Controversy, and last night's live stream with Ricky Manor and the Debate Me channel, I enjoyed it. I can honestly say I enjoyed that debate. And that's the thing that I'm talking about. You know, when we have these discussions or these debates, and you have people that see things from their perspective, whether you agree with them or not, you know, we can have these discussions in a civil manner, respectfully. You know, it's not all about insults, putting other people down just because they see things through a particular lens than the other person does. But it's to understand where the other person is coming from. And that's what I always try to put forth as far as making people see that as long as we can understand where the other person is coming from, whether we agree with them or not, hey, at least we can see or at least find somewhere to meet in the middle to stand on common ground. Okay? But there was something that stood out in that discussion when it came to we the people, okay? And talking about government and these politicians and these people on the left and then on the right, and how it has evolved to a point where government isn't for the people. Even though it is said that we the people make up the government, no. The government is an entity. The government is an agency for self-interest groups at the expense of us. How does a establishment have so much power? It's because we give it to them. We entrust the decision makings for our so-called well-being to be in the hands of those that say that, hey, we know what's in your best interest. But according to who? We got all these laws that get passed that restrict us of our actual liberties, our actual freedoms. And it's something that I believe his name is Carl, or we'll go by Carl, when he said, you know, when you look at China and when you look at America, they say that, you know, it's unconstitutional to do this, that, A, B, C, and D, right? But what we sit there and point fingers, and I've said this myself. You point fingers at everybody else to say, hey, look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing over there. Look at what they're doing over here. We're better than everybody else. But be guilty of the same exact shit that we fault other people for. And like you said, it's just like putting lipstick on a pig. You can dress things up to make it appear a certain way, but when you remove all that, it's the same as everything else. Or should I say as everybody else. Because of these back alley deals, these backdoor deals that these people, there was a I forgot, he was a black politician, and he was one that quit because he said when he was in Washington that there was so much that was going on, so much backdoor dealings, corruption, things that went against the Constitution, the best interests of Americans, because, you know, he was seeing how people were being bought. So when the Debate Me channel pointed that out, I said, you know what? He's absolutely correct, because I've seen this in conversations. I've seen this when looking at these topics being brought up in other videos. So when he brings up people like the Fraud Squad, which I find to be a little funny, just by the title, but when these people come out, and it always never ceases to amaze me when people say, oh yeah, and they'll bring things that make it appear that because some of what they bring about when they're trying to get put in these positions, they talk about things that you as the common person can relate to. You know, they bring up relatable experiences. Like, oh yeah, I know what it's like to work 2 jobs and struggle to, you know, pay my way through school or pay to put a roof over my head, to take care of kids. If you're just, you know, one person struggling as a parent, this, that, and everything else, you know, they hit you with all these things that bring about some kind of trust, so to speak. You know, because you feel like they can empathize with you. You know, that they actually understand what it's like to be an average American, either working paycheck to paycheck, struggling to make ends meet, dealing with all this unnecessary nonsense, that this isn't the American dream that our forefathers have put into play for us to, you know, see it at what has become a nightmare. It's no longer an American dream. It's a shit show for sure. It's a utter nightmare. I mean, it's ridiculous. And again, the power of the people, I don't think people understand. In collaboration and unification, as a body that's brought together, we have more than just one leg to stand on. People don't understand. What they fear is if everybody gets together and put our pettiness aside, stop bickering about trivial nonsense that doesn't get us anywhere, but a more conflict unnecessarily. If we put aside, you know, all the stereotypes, all the prejudices, that are one of them key factors that fit into the equation to justify why we are at a distance with each other. Okay? The government body, when we actually put our foot down and say this is our list of demands and we're not budging, because think about it, okay? When you had black people that got tired of being discriminated against. And I'm going to use the example of them boycotting the transportation with the bus. When you have that much power to make a point, when you stand united, and it affects a certain area where they're like, oh, we depend on these people for this. They make up a good, you know, chunk of, you know, our living. The money that goes into the transportation system. Yeah, maybe we should treat these people a little better. You got, what was it that was recent? What, the trucker strike? Yeah, you had the trucker strike. But that was only for a day, or whatever. Boycotting buying foods or entertaining these corporate businesses because they rely on your money. You know, we the people need to take back what's ours, our simple liberties and simple freedoms, because they're being restricted, stripped under these particular laws or mandates or whatever the case may be, that they say is for the benefit of us, but it's really for the benefit of them. We need to wake up, because we the people have been standing divided for quite some time now. We the people need to come in unification and stand united. Okay? I don't care too much for politicians because they're corrupt. Our government body isn't for us. They play games. They look at what we go through. The one thing that I wanted to point out with is this pandemic. You know, it showed that when people want to argue, I'm just using this as an example, about, hey, they want to mandate our kids getting vaccinated in order to go to schools. Well, okay, that's fine and dandy as far as what you think is appropriate, you know, as far as Biden goes. But realistically, you know, if parents don't want their kids to, you know, whatever, number one, you shouldn't be threatening taking their kids away just because of what you think a parent should do. People have a right to make the decisions for the kids, not people oversee the adult, the parent, to tell them what they should do with their kids. I have an issue with that, because when you get to a point of being an adult, you know, you should be able to make these decisions on your own. You know, you got these people trying to play God with us, and even these small, how should I say, gods with the small G can get knocked out of their position of power. When their how should I say, motives turn into what begins to look like tyranny. Another point that I want to touch upon, because I don't think it was understood. When we look at people and we judge people, I'm gonna take the situation, because I was looking at when Larry Elder got an egg thrown at him when he was walking through South Central. I gotta wait for the cement truck to drive by, because they always do this shit every damn morning. I know you ain't gonna just park right there. Well, look like I'm gonna have to move this, but I'll be damned. But with the homeless situation, I myself was homeless at one point, okay? And that was in Houston. People automatically assume, just like when people look at people who are on food stamps, they make it seem like it's an issue that only plagues the black community. And believe it or not, since people always love going to statistics and looking at the numbers and stuff, you see that there are more white people that are on welfare than there are on black folks. Okay? But with the homeless situation, people automatically cast this judgment on people because they're homeless, to think that, oh, they're a lost cause, or they're drug addicts, or this, that, and everything else. Not everybody that's homeless have an addiction. Not everybody that's homeless has done something bad. Unseen and unfortunate circumstances come into play. This pandemic was a prime example of that. When you have people living paycheck to paycheck, and then you take them out of a job, tell them they can't go to work, and then they can't pay rent, and then you got some of these landlords that are just straight up assholes and don't give a damn. They'll collect money from the government for the PPE, whatever bailouts for, you know, the housing for them, and they'll still kick people out. You know, and they've been brought to court for fraud. You know, and it's sad. But it goes to show you, when looking at the situation with Larry Elder, these people they didn't want to hear nothing from him. Because, again, this is what I'm talking about. You have people that come from certain backgrounds. You would think, because they understand the struggle, they understand these circumstances that these people are in, right? Without polarizing them through a generalized lens. And they cater to a certain audience at the expense of other people, just to be exploited. So when he got the egg thrown at him, you damn right. So again, you know, it's a lot that we have to take into consideration. Again, we need to stop looking at each other with such disgust and judgment, and look at people, because, again, one of the things that Carl from the Debate Me channel said, they got us to the point where they done perfected the division tactic to a science, where they got us fighting ourselves so that we don't fight them. Something to think about. That's all I got, because this noise is really pissing me the fuck off. because they had all this time and they've been pussyfooting around. Because Rita Cromwell, this is what I don't get. She was the treasury of Dixon, right? Stole millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars from the town, right? Got, I think, arrested in 2012. And she just got out earlier this year. Now, they got all her horses, all her land, whatever money that she got. And then on top of that, the FBI, they took a good chunk of that money. The money that was supposed to be going to the town. How the hell does an agency, that's what I talk about, these agencies, the FBI, the CIA, the law enforcement, the IRS, the government, all of that. It's like they extort money from us to no end. But because they are an agency, they're not looked at as being crooks. But everybody else is. Come on now. Anyway. Y'all know what time it is. Until next time, please like, share, and subscribe. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Tell me what you think. Yeah. Peace.